Hello everyone, my name is Pixlriffs and welcome back to the Minecraft Survival Guide. I hope you guys are having a good day. Today, we're starting off over here in the end of our giant field of wheat. And wheat has taken on a new significance in the Nether update, or rather something that you can make out of wheat has, because we are going to gather up a bunch of this and make ourselves some hay bales so that we can transform them into Minecraft's newest redstone component, at least at the time of this recording, the target block. And this is going to be something that's going to be super fun to play around with for the next little while. That should be enough to get us started at least, but we'll obviously need 9 wheat per hay bale, and then we'll need a little bit of extra redstone to convert them into target blocks. But target blocks have some uses beyond just what the name might suggest. And so today, we're going to take a bit of an in-depth look at them. We're going to focus on the surface level stuff first, exactly how to craft them, what it is they do, and then we're going to look outside the box a little bit and figure out what we can use target blocks for that really doesn't seem like it's there at first glance. So first of all, you're going to want to make yourself some hay bales, which will of course require a substantial wheat farm. I have a few hay bales tucked away in here as well, so that's what we're working with for today's episode. 28 of these. Grab a little bit of redstone dust. You will need 4 redstone dust per target block, and in much the same way as you make a redstone lamp by surrounding glowstone with redstone dust like this is how you make a target block. 4 redstone and a hay bale gets you a target block, and I am going to potentially set up an archery range around the back of the castle here. I'm wondering if maybe we repurpose this area, or perhaps we go across the river and start one over here in the taiga biome, because the castle does feel like the best place to set up something like this, but I do sort of feel like maybe we should do it outside of the castle grounds. So yeah, let's hop over the river here. We can probably build some sort of bridge over to it or something, and let's turn this area of the woodland into a bit of an archery range. Okay, it's a little bare bones, but it's a start. What we have here is 3 target blocks set up at different distances from the player. And for this, I'm actually going to use something other than my trusty infinity bow, because, as the name suggests, it has the flame enchantment. And to be honest, using the flame enchantment on these things, you can't quite see where the arrow really lands. So instead, we're going to switch out for Quick Draw McGraw, which is the name of my crossbow, apparently. And we're going to fire a straight shot directly at this target here, and you'll notice that that hit a little bit off center. Even if you center the target in your sights, there is a little bit of a randomness to the direction of the arrows, and that looked pretty darned close to a bullseye. Great stuff. And now that I'm not using an infinity bow, I can of course head over and collect the arrows again, so that's kind of where I'm at with this. Let's fire that one more time, and you'll see, yes, as you can see, the arrow trajectory is not exactly dead on every single time. Obviously, that's going to get a little bit closer the closer you are to it, but where's the challenge in that? We got to hit it from a little bit of a distance away. The next one over here, this one is 10 meters away or 10 blocks away. This one here is 20 blocks away, and this last one is 30. And the reason that one is 30 meters away is because I'm aiming for an advancement to hit the bullseye of a target block from at least 30 meters away. So we're working up to that slowly but surely. Let's draw. Let's see where we land. Oh, okay, really need to angle this up a little bit. There we go. That was a little bit closer to the center of target, slightly off to one side, but we do need to be aiming a little bit above. And did that one go clean over? I think that one landed in the river or something. That was pretty intense. And yeah, there we go. Okay, so we're needing to aim a little bit higher over the target, about there, and yeah, we're landing roughly around the outside. Now, for this last target here, we are really going to have to aim a little bit higher. Let's see if we can hit that. Nope, looks like that was over. Okay, down a little bit more, and we're definitely hitting the target there, but we have to account a little bit for the randomness in direction of the arrows and probably just fire off a few until we hit the target. Oh, and the sun's going down now, so I have a feeling I will probably end up being a target myself in a second. If there are any skeletons around that I can scavenge some extra arrows from. This is a lot harder than I expected it to be honest. From 30 blocks away, did we hit the target at all? I think we hit the center of the target once, but that was one of my earlier arrows. Oh well, I'll probably go and find a bed and see if I can hit it a little bit more accurately in the morning. Alright, morning is here. I don't see any skeletons lurking in the trees. Let's aim for the bullseye. And it really is the random direction added to the arrows that is causing it to flake out a little bit here, because I'm pretty certain that I am dead on target aside from that. Oh, really close there. Let's see if we can get a couple more shots in, and hopefully we should hit the target sooner or later. Man, look at this. I've been at this for a little while. This is honestly no joke. Some of the arrows are starting to despawn after a minute, and look at the durability going down on my crossbow. I just genuinely cannot get a shot on target today, and that is all entirely due to the randomness of my arrows. This is not just me making excuses. This is literally how the mechanics in Minecraft work. I'm not even shifting the crosshair around, and I'm shooting in wildly different directions. That one there looked like it might have been on target, but it was just a little bit high. I'm sorry, how is that not a bullseye? How is that? It's like the barest pixel off, but it is very, very close. You have to hit the center of the target so precisely to get this advancement. It is a little bit ludicrous. Hey, there it goes. Finally. I don't even want to know how many shots that was, but it was basically a full in-game day and then some. Look at that. That arrow there is not any closer to the center of the target than the arrow I just showed you a few seconds ago. But man, that was one heck of a challenge. Believe me, that was a lot. And like I said, it all comes down to the fact that, say, I'm right here. I am more or less point blank range away from this target. I'm like only a few meters away. That is a little bit below center. Watch what happens when I fire another one. There we go, a little bit further down and to the right. The next one hits more or less the same place. There is a variance to the trajectory of these arrows that is added randomly by the game, which makes hitting the bullseye from that far away actually pretty difficult. And unfortunately, it can't even really be a skill thing. If you're hitting the target, it's just a matter of randomness and luck at that point. But a tricky target is not all that these things are. They are actually redstone components with a couple of really interesting properties. Now, of course, anytime you hit one of these things with an arrow, it is going to output a redstone signal directly to the blocks on all sides of it. You can see that very briefly when we hit it with the bow, the redstone lamp that I just put on top of this target lit up for a split second and then ended up switching off again. So anytime I hit this target, regardless of how many arrows are currently in it, it's going to output a redstone signal for a second or two, and that's going to light up the redstone lamp or activate any redstone components that are receiving any kind of current from this target block. But one of the coolest things about these target blocks is that when struck with an arrow or any kind of projectile, actually this can also include tridents, and I might try that out a little bit later, but the closer you hit to the center of the target, the higher a redstone signal it outputs. And it doesn't even need a comparator to do this, making it the first redstone component since comparators that can output a variable strength of redstone signal. I'm going to shoot from here to give you guys a quick example. There we go, hit the center of the target, big redstone signal. If I intentionally try and aim for the outside of the target, you'll notice that barely lit up the redstone wire at all, and it is probably going to be an easier thing to do to demonstrate this using redstone lamps. So let me set up a couple of things here. So welcome to a slightly revised, but actually still kind of bad redstone target setup. And we've got some redstone lamps on either side here where if I fire directly at the target, you'll see that a set of redstone lamps light up either side dependent on exactly where on the target I hit. But this is still not a very precise means of measuring the redstone output, and it's because of how I've wired it in the back, which we will go and look at in a second. I might have to get slightly closer so I can be a little bit more precise with my aim here. Let me gather up these arrows, and I am using just a regular old bow now that I dragged out of a chest somewhere to show you guys this. So if I aim for the outside of the target here, it still outputs a little bit of a redstone signal, but that only goes as far as the redstone lamps on either side. It does not output enough of a redstone signal to the dust at the back that it's going to carry it along the wire to the rest of these. A little bit closer towards the center, and you start to see some more of the lamps around the outside light up. And is it really gonna... Okay, yeah, so it gave me 2 there. And that is because we have the redstone wire attached to these redstone lamps at the back on either side. So a single unit of redstone power is only going to touch 1 or 2 pieces of dust here. It's not going to wrap around to the third one that's also going to light up this lamp. Then if we get slightly closer to the center, wow, okay, that's not really giving us much range at all, is it? Let's try there. There we go. We end up with 5 lamps because that activates the next set of redstone dust. And the closer to the center we get, of course, we end up lighting up even more simply because the dust travels a little bit further. The power continues further down the dust and it lights up all the way to these lamps at the end. And the reason, of course, that it's lighting up multiple lamps at a time is because the redstone dust is powering this block here, which powers the blocks to either side of it. Now, here's something clever we can do with the target blocks, because target blocks actually have a little bit of extra functionality that some other components don't, and it all comes down to how redstone dust redirects. When you place down a single piece of redstone dust now, it appears in this plus formation, and by right-clicking it, you can toggle between the old and new redstone dust formations. However, these actually have some functionality now that the redstone dot had before, but it's actually significant that the wire extends in different directions now, because that's implying that anything that powers this redstone dust, the dust is then going to power anything that is connected to it on those four sides. And we'll notice, as we play around with some redstone components here, that some of this is about to change in a significant way. So right now, this piece of redstone dust, though it is a single dot, is still technically connected to this redstone lamp. And if I place a block of redstone above it, that's not providing power diagonally or anything. It is powering this piece of redstone dust, and then that is powering the redstone lamp. If I right-click on this, you'll notice that it actually switches off the redstone lamp because that is no longer connected. And we might be able to use that for some interesting stuff at some point a little bit later on. But that's the way redstone dust works. However, if I take this lever out of my inventory and connect that, you'll notice that once again the redstone dust changes formation, and it is now connected to this redstone lamp regardless of the shape it had before. So now when I switch on this lever, the redstone lamp here lights up as you might expect that it would. But now if we place an additional piece of redstone dust coming off to either of these two sides, you'll notice that that redirects the redstone wire, and the connection to the redstone lamp here vanishes. The redstone lamp does not automatically connect the dust to it. The dust does not conform to actually connect to the redstone lamp naturally by itself. And now when I turn the lever on, it's not actually powering this lamp anymore, despite the fact that it was a couple of seconds ago when the redstone wire looked like this. Now here is where target blocks are a little bit unique in that respect, because you can actually do something kind of cool with them when you have a line of redstone wire like this that isn't going to connect to any other redstone components that you place down here, or at least any more solid blocks like redstone lamps, for example. Placing target blocks actually redirects the redstone wire into them. So without having to use another redstone component like a transmission component, like a repeater, or any kind of input component like a lever, we can determine which direction the redstone dust flows. And this dust is now connecting to these blocks, providing them with current. So if I end up switching on a lever at this end, all of these target blocks are now receiving power from the redstone dust, and if I place some redstone lamps on that side of them, they are powering the redstone lamps. And this is going to allow us to rewire the back end of this redstone lamp display so that it can be a little bit more accurate to the output of the target block. All we'll need to do is place a few of these target blocks along the sides here, like so. We'll take the redstone wire out from here, place a few more on that side if we're going to have this like symmetrical display that I've set up here. We'll put some more red concrete along the back, and we'll have that run redstone dust all the way along it like so. Now we know that the output of the target block is still going to light up those two lamps on the sides, so technically the target blocks on the backs of those are not strictly necessary, but now we get a much more accurate readout of exactly where on the target we hit, because we end up getting a little bit more variable output, illuminating a whole different selection of redstone lamps depending on where exactly on the target we hit. And I think that was a bullseye. That should be going all the way to the end. I think that one just isn't wired up right here. There we go, just fixed that, and as you can see, now all of the lamps on both sides light up when we hit closer to the center of the target, and only a few lamps will light up as we end up firing further and further away. By taking out the two target blocks on either side here, because the central target block is powering the redstone lamps on either side, we can actually have a bit of fun setting up a comparator decay clock. And I have a feeling this should work. Let me test it from this side. There we go, that all lights up, and yep, it slowly decays, basically meaning that the redstone lamps on either side slowly turn off a couple at a time instead of staying on and then flickering off again. So let's go around the front of this, and I'll show you how this works once again. If we aim towards the center, hit that bullseye, and then there we go. Slowly but surely it creeps in from the sides, and it's not doing that symmetrically, I think, because of the difference in signal strength from this side to that side, so we could make this whole thing a little bit more symmetrical if we wanted to, and that might work out a little better for us. There we go. I've moved the comparator decay clock back a little bit just so it can be a single piece of redstone dust connecting it to the very center, making sure the signal strength is even on both sides. Now if we hit that bullseye, there we go, it reduces a little bit at a time. I'm going to fire into this thing at point blank so we hit the bullseye, and you'll notice that it actually changes the way the lamps decay depending on where exactly you hit it, because the output strength is going to be either an even number or an odd number. There you go. You see all 4 of those outside lamps switched off at once when I hit slightly to the right of the target, and then when I hit the center of the target again, you'll notice 3 go, and then 2 go, and then 2 go, and then 1 goes. So it's actually decaying the redstone signal at different strengths, which is kind of fun to play around with. And by the way, since we are clearly using quite a few target blocks today, it may be of interest to you to know that the hoe is actually the most efficient tool for taking these things down, because hoes are now the most efficient tool to remove hay blocks, and the target blocks effectively start with the base block being a hay block. So it's actually kind of cool that we can take these things down instantly now. So after playing around with a little bit more redstone behind the scenes, I put together a few other alternatives for how you could use these target block firing ranges. For example, I've got this giant column of redstone lamps here, and you could try and do a vertical display, kind of like the horizontal one we just did, but traveling vertically with redstone signal has its problems, especially when your blocks are spaced only like 1 block apart as opposed to 2 blocks apart. It's kind of difficult to get a redstone signal to all of them in a compact way. So instead what I've done is create a target here where if you fire towards the outside, you only get 1 light up, but if you fire slightly closer to the center and you hit on target, there you go. You get a really nice vertical light display like that, and I'll show you how that works in a second. Here is another alternative that you could work into firing ranges. You could set up multiple targets that actually pop out of the ground whenever you hit one of the basic target blocks. So here, if I hit dead on with that target block, you'll see a couple of armor stands with creeper heads jump out of that hole, and we could, of course, have some sort of mechanism that slides back across to allow them to only bounce up once and then get retracted down into the earth just as fast as they came. But if we want to, say, shoot one of those out of the air in the meantime, there we go. Maybe we've just won a creeper head at some sort of carnival. I like that idea. And finally, I ended up switching this one off until it was time to activate it. I've got a little lever buried in that hole in the ground there. You could have a moving target block setup where it ends up getting pushed around by a piston, and you've got to fire at it once it is out there. Looks like we didn't quite hit it at the right time. There we go. And you can actually have it set up so that when the target block outputs a redstone signal, it turns the entire thing off, thanks to this comparator signal out the back here, basically locking the signal into the clock circuit and having the redstone lamps turn on. Although obviously they only turn on for a brief second, you could have some sort of T flip-flop switch that controls all of that as well. Lots of stuff you could do with this as a setup, and I think it'd be really fun to disable the targets as you take them out in some sort of firing range. So here are the 3 setups that we've got. It's pretty simple on this side. We just have a regular signal coming out of the back of this target block, going down into the ground here, and then obviously a repeater detects it from this block so the signal can wrap around, or a comparator, because I think that's all I had on me at the time. And that just activates the 2 pistons down there, which fire the armor stands into the air to great effect. On the back here, I put a comparator output coming out of this one. I'm not quite sure why. I think I ended up just having the 2 redstone lamps isolated at first, and then realized that it was probably best just to have the whole thing up 1 block so that it didn't get activated by the signal from the target block. But that just wraps around down here and disables the redstone clock. That's just a 4 repeater clock down there behind there. And this one is actually pretty fun. It's a giant tower of observers that are being activated by pistons, and the signal comes out of the back of here, once again with a comparator, because I had to isolate the redstone signal from the observer signal going into this block, otherwise the entire thing became a clock. And it has to be a comparator in this case as well, instead of a repeater, because the comparator is detecting the signal strength, and it will actually output the same signal strength that the target block gives off, whereas a repeater would boost it up to the maximum of 15. But to keep this compact, to keep it 1 wide, we have the entire thing wrapping around the side here, which is a little bit unwieldy, but there isn't really a way to reduce signal strength with redstone components. It's just a matter of giving it a little bit of extra space. But once we hit that magic number, this observer detects the change in the redstone dust there. The entire tower of observers and note blocks above us activates these pistons 2 at a time, and it shuffles the observers back and forth and powers this block here, meaning that you end up with that cascading display of redstone lamps from the front. I'll show you once again from the back. There you go, all of those get activated in sequence, and once again from the front. Beautiful. I love that little cascading display of lamps. That's really, really fun to watch. But we are still only scratching the surface as far as the capabilities of these target blocks and what they can be used for in kind of niche ways, but for really, really interesting stuff. Let's wrap this redstone wire around here, terminate that in a redstone lamp, and we're going to set up a dispenser, basically a couple of blocks opposite this target block. And we're going to fill that up with arrows. I've got a decent stack of arrows here, so I may as well put those in there. And when we activate this, it's actually going to be a little bit luck of the draw whether or not it activates the redstone lamp. You'll see the first arrow did. The second arrow, because it hit further around the outside, did not. And then closer to the center, it activates the lamp. A little bit out further to one side, it doesn't. This is effectively a two-component redstone randomizer, which will output a random variable signal from the target block, and that will determine whether or not the lamp switches on or stays off. And one of the fun parts of this is changing the distance, how far away the dispenser is from the target block, can occasionally change the randomization a little bit, because the variance in arrows is going to be much greater if they have a further distance to travel. So as you can see now, we got 1 out of 5 there actually lit up the redstone lamp. Some of them miss entirely from this distance, and it's actually pretty rare that the redstone lamp switches on. So that's a very simple randomizer circuit you can use to kind of stack the deck against the people who are playing whatever minigame you have set up here. This also has the potential for wireless vertical redstone travel as well. If you end up activating a dispenser up here, which I'm going to activate with a target block for the sake of it. There you go. They kind of exchanged arrows. The dispenser fired an arrow downwards and it struck the target block on the ground. Now, once again, this is going to be a case of exactly how much the variance in travel of those arrows is, and chances are you may end up with the arrow flying off to one side. So there might be some ways that you can steady the arrow, have it travel through cobweb or something like that. I can't remember if cobwebs will slow arrows down in that way. I have a feeling they won't, but there may be something else like water or something could potentially stabilize it as well. There are many different ways that we could potentially implement something like that, and then the signal down here would also be variable, or it could just be boosted with a repeater or have the component like this redstone lamp right next to it, and that would allow for the signal to activate the redstone component regardless of where on the target the downward traveling arrow end up hitting. I can't remember what the vertical travel of arrows is from a dispenser if they're fired vertically upwards like this. Let's take a quick look. Okay, so that's not too bad. So we could, in theory, let's set up something a little bit bizarre here. We could, in theory, set up a circuit that just duplicates itself going round and round. Let me grab a few arrows out of here to demonstrate, and we'll need to start off with this dispenser here. Like so, there you go, and oh, it's a shame. I think the dispenser had a little bit of a cooldown there. Maybe if we introduce a little bit of delay into this circuit, we can have this whole thing act as basically a redstone clock. Let's fill up this dispenser here. That dispenser up there already has some arrows, and let's get this one started off like so. Yep, there we go. We actually have a redstone clock working with arrows firing out of dispensers, which is, of course, a redstone clock that would turn itself off sooner or later, either by the randomness of these arrows firing or the fact that the dispensers ran out of arrows. So that could be one way of doing it if you have a lot of arrows you want to get rid of and you don't feel like doing a particularly practical redstone clock. Whoa, there we go. Someone's going to get hit by all those arrows at once. But this is the potential of target blocks. They're a little bit quirky, they're a little bit fun. You can use them for practical applications or something a little bit more bizarre. All up to you, and really, really interesting redstone component. I guess one other thing we could do, let me very quickly show you this, is show that they can be hit by other projectiles as well. I'm kind of wondering if an ender pearl will count, or maybe if it's just projectiles like arrows or tridents. Let's see if I can hit the bullseye here with an ender pearl. Yep, nope, that actually does work. Okay, that's kind of interesting. So if you ender pearl onto a target block from a distance, that could potentially set off some kind of redstone mechanism as well. Maybe it like acted as some sort of teleporter mechanism. I don't know. Could be kind of interesting. And of course, if we use our trident like so, yes, as you'll see, you end up with the same effect as if you shot it with an arrow, which is very, very cool stuff. So naturally, eggs and other projectiles like that, snowballs, will also work. You can really practice your aim with these things, but it's kind of fun just to mess around with these things for a day and see what we could come up with. Folks, I do hope you've enjoyed this episode of the Minecraft Survival Guide, taking a look at target blocks. Let me know what bizarre stuff you're using target blocks for in the comments. Would love to hear from people who are messing around with these in their spare time. In the meantime, don't forget to leave a like on this video if you enjoyed it, subscribe if you want to see more, and I'll see you guys soon. Take care. Bye for now.